Morning, good afternoon, dear participants. Welcome to the 12th webinar of this series. Today we are concluding for the first year of the activity of the UNESCO chair. The training course activity will end today, but as you know, we will continue with the second course which is planned in October this year, and then also with the third and fourth course for the next 2 years. I wanted also to remind you that all recordings are available to participants and will be public, that is to say, made available to everyone in, excuse me, in 10 months or so. They will be published in the website of the Venice UNESCO chair. We will send you also the link to the website of the Venice UNESCO chair, where you can find in 10 months or so all the materials available from the different contributions and speakers that contributed this year. Concerning the certificate of attendance, also Sarah will provide additional information at the conclusion of today's webinar. Today is the grand finale. We have two distinguished speakers that Sarah is going to present, as usually, very soon. I think that we are concluding with the two of the main thematic areas which we investigated already. On the one hand, we are going to see some additional tools for investigating water heritage, for detecting water heritage, that is to say, to start building also a project, a possible project for a water museum. We will move to Japan to make such an investigation through the perspective of spatial anthropology. And then we will touch upon another key tool that we investigated with the many contributions, that is to say, the tool of participation, the methods of involving local communities in the process of promoting the local water heritage. And so we will come back again to Italy for the second part of today's webinar. I leave the floor to Sarah for the introduction of the two speakers.
Thank you very much, Roberto. Thank you. So good morning from my part, good afternoon and good evening. And I'm really glad to have you here today for our last webinar. And we are very happy with this quite long journey with you throughout the reflections and experiences in water heritage. So I'm really glad today to introduce our first speaker, which is Professor Hidenobu Jinnai. Hidenobu Jinnai was born in Fukuoka in Japan in 1947. He studied architecture in Italy at UAV, University of Venice, from 1973 to 1975, with a scholarship granted by the Italian government. He studied at the ICCROM Institute for Conservation of Historic and Artistic Works in 1975 and 1976. He holds a PhD in engineering from the University of Tokyo, and he has been a lecturer at the University of Palermo, of Trento, of Roma, of Napoli. Hidenobu Jinnai is now professor in urban history at the Hosei University of Tokyo. And among his publications, we can find the book Tokyo, a Spatial Anthropology, published by the University of California Press. Hidenobu Jinnai received the honor of Ufficiale of the Italian Republic in 2002 and an ad honorem master's degree in architecture from the University of Rome La Sapienza, and also the Argan Prize in 2019. Today, Professor Jinnai will speak about Tokyo as a city of water from the perspective of spatial anthropology. So, dear Professor Jinnai, thank you for being with us. I let you the floor.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. I am very glad to have such a nice occasion to collaborate with you for the Water Museum's activity. Thank you very much for Professor Ulisse for the invitation to this very nice seminar. At first, I have to apologize for my bad English. My study field is comparative urban history. Do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
We cannot see your screen because I think that you've changed the... But if you can share the screen.
Computer, I cannot understand which part can be useful for this one. Yeah, this one. Do you see my slide?
No.
No?
No, we cannot see them.
But we can see you, Hidenobu.
So I'm sorry, I have very confusion. Which button I should put?
It's a green button in the...
Green button?
A green button. It should be share screen.
Share screen middle? In under part? Where?
On the bottom.
On the bottom, on the bottom, in the center of the screen.
Center? No, I cannot.
No, we don't see the presentation.
Professor,
don't you see?
No.
No.
You have to go on the Zoom interface where you can see us. Okay, with the black frame and the images.
No. Sorry.
Professore, se provi a muovere il mouse nella parte bassa,
sì,
dello schermo, c'è un pulsante verde.
Verde?
Sì, muovendo il mouse, sì, nella parte bassa dello schermo c'è un pulsante verde.
Io poi metto. Poi
cliccando sul pulsante verde viene fuori l'opzione di condividere uno schermo.
Non viene fuori. Scusi, quindi
sì.
Come faccio? Precedentemente potevo far vedere, però senza mia figura. Invece questa volta con mia figura senza presentazione.
Posso condividere io lo schermo con la presentazione?
Sì. Per favore, per favore.
Ah, bene, grazie Sara.
Un attimo che la recupero.
So there is a small technical problem because before we could see Professor Jinnai's presentation, but we couldn't see his figure, whereas now it's the opposite. So there are some technical problems, but we are going to solve it immediately.
Can you show my presentation slides?
Yes, we are
uploading it.
Anyway, I begin to explain my...
Yes, please, Professor Jinnai.
My paper. I have studied the method to analyze historic cities in Venice Architecture School, UAV, in the first half of 1970s. Can I have another next one? Next slide. Coming back to Tokyo, I began to do field research with my student of Hosei University on Tokyo from different aspects. And I could rediscover that also Tokyo was a splendid water city until at least 1930s. In the industrialization process of 1960s, we have lost image of water city of Tokyo completely. But from 1980, I am studying Tokyo continuously from the point of view of water city. Today, I would like to talk my experiences. I put the term of spatial anthropology, so I should explain a little bit about this. Of course, I analyze water cities from morphological and typological aspects and from functional and economic aspects, etc. But especially in Japan, to understand the meaning of water for human life and activities more deeply, I had to search for also other different approaches. For example, relationship between nature and human beings, religious, spiritual aspect and ritual aspect, theatrical and festival activities, mechanism of bustling places, fishermen's life and their community. All these aspects, elements became important for my study. So I used the term of spatial anthropology to cover all these approaches. This map shows Tokyo's situation. Tokyo is composed by two different areas. Right side is water city developed on the plain, lower part. And western part, left side, we have 7 hills like Rome. So natural condition of Tokyo is very dynamic and very particular, interesting. Next, please. Next, please. 10 years ago, no, before, previous. Yes. 10 years ago, in Tokyo, Tokyo Skytree High Television Tower was constructed in lower part of photos. Position is very interesting. From the top of the tower, we can see central part of Tokyo, and in the end of this direction axis, we can see still now Fuji Mountain, and in near area, cross area, we can see Sumida River. This composition of view from tower is just same to the composition of famous bird's eye view of Edo around 1818 and beginning of 19th century. So this position is very significant to re-evaluate the value of image of water city of Edo, Tokyo. Edo is former name of Tokyo, which was used until 1867. Next, please. Yes, this is very typical image of Edo as a water city. Around this bridge, Ryogoku Bridge, there was a very nice bustling place. A painter tried to draw people's activities rather than the exact urban form. So deformation is very strong, but we can understand essential functions, meaning of this place close to water. Next, please. Next, please. This is a very important, no, before. Yes, this represent the final stage of water city in Tokyo. It continued until 1960. From 1960, we entered in industrial modernization period So water became very dirty and we lost image of water city. But this is the final stage. So you can see how people enjoy eating and drinking in these traditional restaurants across the water. And during the festival, people enjoy fireworks, etc. Next, please. Of course, also Tokyo had the problem against flood, etc. So governors try to make solution against flood, etc. Just like Venetian government worked against Acqua Alta. So there were several solutions. A was a replacement of Kanda River. Kanda River used to enter in inner area, but to protect from flood, governor changed the course of water toward the east. And B is construction of Y-shaped embankment Edo period. Just you can see in the middle of map of middle, point B. And C is solution, modern solution, construction of Arakawa flood bypass. So trying effort like this, Tokyo City could protect from flood. Next, please. Based on these public works, people could enjoy water city during daily life. There were very different types, functions, forms of water activity. Of course, drinking water was important, fundamental, and agriculture, fishery, and navigation, commercial activities, production, and also religious ritual festival activity. Water was fundamental. Of course, for recreation, theater activity, tourism, also to have an amenity, to have a beautiful landscape. Water was fundamental for the city life. Next, please. But unfortunately, we had a big earthquake catastrophe in 1923. By this earthquake, image of Tokyo water city was lost, destroyed completely. But in the period of reconstruction, we had another kind of water city, modernized. Next, please. And after, as I told before, entering in 60s, we lost water city completely. Constructing highway just on the rivers, canals, and with reclamation of Tokyo Bay, we lost surface of water strongly. Next, please. But our group of Hosei University started to do research about the water city, doing this kind of water trip, boat trip. We started just at 1980. Until today, we continue to do this kind of research, observation from the side of water toward the city. This was a very exciting and adventurous experience for me. And of course, also other groups, university citizens began to do the same thing. Next, please. Port system is very important, but we had the inner port system. Just you can see in the left side. And we had several rivers, canals, just like Venice. So in the right hand, you can see urban fabric around the canals. There were many warehouses in embankments. So cargoes, which arrived from all of the Japan, a big ship stopped in the bay area, and putting in small boats, these cargoes used to penetrate inside of the inner port system. Very characteristic. Next, please. I can pass this. Next, please. And this is a modern system. Of course, size of ship and size of warehouse became bigger. So warehouse area shifted out, moved toward Tokyo Bay. But there were many interesting warehouse buildings in 20s, 30s. Also, these were very nice historic monuments. Next, please. This is very nice image of 1930. Also, central part of canal of Nihonbashi. This scene people could see. Look. Next, please. But of course, now we lost this activity. Next, please. This is only memory for the image of what a city of modern time. Edo was very interesting, had a very interesting morphology. You can see the old map of 1643. So lower part, left side. But Sumida River was edge of city. Sumida River is mother river for Tokyo. But in this period, beginning of Edo era, Tokyo, Edo urban area stopped before Sumida River. And after, with expansion, urban area developed also in the right hand, so eastern part of Sumida River. So center, you can see castle area surrounded by several moats, canals. So very interesting, this urban morphology. Next, please. We want to compare with the Seine and Thames a little bit. In the case of Paris, city developed just on the river. So around the river, urban area developed also for the northern part and southern part. Cité Island is central area. All of the important monuments, political powers concentrated on this area in the center, around the river. And Thames, a little bit different. The city is center and Westminster is another important center and faced directly to Thames River. And lower part is a little bit marginal, but many important monuments, political powers located just along the river. So in this sense, Tokyo was very different from these important European capitals. Next, please. So Sumida River, next, please. Sumida River is located in marginal area. Before, yes, this one. Sumida River was marginal position, but important for the image of water city of Tokyo, because there are many important medieval and ancient important sites located along the Sumida River. Practically, Sumida River's area is older than city of Edo, which started from the beginning of 17th century. So people of Edo, inhabitants of Edo, felt legend or mythology about the area around the Sumida River. So we can find many important, meaningful sites along the Sumida River. For example, the lower part, Asakusa Temple, Senso Temple of Asakusa was founded in 628, and middle Matsuchi Mountain Temple, 1595. All of these important religious sites was considered as a legend important site for Edo people. So attractive. These areas catched attention of Edo people's image. Next, please. Sumida River. Along the Sumida River, we can find still now very important ancient medieval elements. Religious area, very famous for the festival, etc. Also, theater district was located there. Next, please. So still now, Asakusa Temple is central spot for tourism. And water was considered as a sacred element. In fact, around the Sensoji Temple of Asakusa, a river was prohibited for the fishing because it was considered as sacred area. Next, please. There are several important spots. For example, theater district and the licensed quarter of enjoyment. So there were many charming girls, but these elements were located more or less in this period, in this area, behind of Sensoji Temple. So surrounding area attracted people with its rich nature and a sense of liberation, and also with these meaningful activities. Next, please. So Cherry Blossoms Festival was done along Sumida, and there were several very exciting areas around water. Next, please. Fireworks were done in this area, and also this was very important factor to attract people's attention. Next, please. Most important bustling places, amusement center, were developed along the Sumida River, as you see. 3 points: Fukagawa, Ryogoku, Asakusa. Especially Ryogoku was most important bustling place. Next, please. There was many restaurants open to water where people gathered to talk cultural issue and doing art event, inviting painters and writers, etc. So this was practically cultural salon. Next, please. Enjoyment and play of Japanese culture deeply linked to water. This is a scene of several theaters developed along the Bay Area around the 1630s. And after also, there were 2 theater districts along the canal. So people especially rich people, used to arrive with boat to enjoy theater. Next, please. Just like in Venice. Next, please. This a picture scroll shows changes in the landscape along the Sumida River, starting from Kanda River, passing Sumida River, and arriving Canal Sanya. This change of sequence is very charming and an important factor for the tourism, a certain tourism, a cultural activity for citizens of Edo. Next, please. But after the earthquake of 1923, situation changed dramatically. It changed to modern image. There was many important bridges constructed after the earthquake, and promenade along the river was realized, but they imported the method from Western world. So Japanese character, Japanese traditional elements were lost strongly. Next, please. But boat transportation was very active also after the earthquake. This is the date of before earthquake, 21. So also in modern time, transportation of boats was very strong, important for Tokyo. Next, please. Not only in Edo era, also for the industrial activity, a fundamental boat. And this image, floating bus stop, is a little bit similar to fermata of Vaporetto of Venice. Next, please. This is again Asakusa. Asakusa Shrine Temple, when they did procession, they utilized also course of Sumida River's water. Next, please. This is one part of important picture scroll. With this represent the process of procession of 3 baldacchino bringing shrines, 2 bringing shrines. Can you see under part and left side, there is a bridge. Under bridge, there are 2 shrines, 2 bringing shrines, and 1 is already on the street. But anyway, doing procession, following course of Sumida River, they did ritual of festival. Very interesting. So all of the important activities were connected with water. Next, please. Next, please. Of course, in the modern time, we lost a lot, but there is also a trial to recover or reconstruct traditional image again for contemporary society. This is one action. Festival of Tokyo Fire Free. Tradition and innovation are combined well. So this is very nice. And the left one is just the revival of the procession of the bringing shrine of Asakusa on the Sumida River, realized in 2012. Next, please. Fishermen's activity was fundamental to understand deeply the meaning of places of different parts of Tokyo. Along the seaside, there were a series of villages of fishermen. Until 1960, fishery was very strong in Tokyo, but with pollution and urban policy, fishery was abandoned and forgot. But now, quality of water is coming back, so practically there were a certain number of fishermen who work in Tokyo Bay. Next, please. This is one typical community of fishermen, village, Tsukuda Island. They keep original urban fabric and typology of houses and shrine inside of a small array, just like Calle Veneziano. And ritual is very dynamic, was dynamic, which continued until 1960s. Next, please. They keep still tradition and urban tissue. This is another ex-fisherman's community, Shinagawa. They do still now procession on the water, and they bring shrine inside of the water. Next, please. Every year, they do this performance of procession boats, and arriving in the, they bring shrine inside of the sea, water of sea. Very spectacle, but not touristic, absolutely. So this is still now real ritual for local community. Next, please. But until now, I explained image of water city following orthodox method, orthodox approach. From now, I try to explain another kind of concept of water city of Tokyo, which I want to study more deeply. The water city concept can be expanded to more of Tokyo's territorial. So we want to develop following approach, Italian approach of territory. So you can see all the map which of territory, network of rivers in the territory of Edo Tokyo, 1830s. In the lower part, you can see circle, small circle with sign of castle. And there are several middle-sized, big-sized rivers and small-sized rivers. And there are many villages. So Edo, territories of Edo was organized by a series of rivers, canals, etc. Next, please. Also, in central part of Tokyo is very important for the image of water city. Imperial Palace shows very interesting morphology formed by several moats, canals. They created very organic shape, not symmetrically, not geometrical. And Italian Cultural Center is located in the red signs place, just to cross the moat. This image of right hand, Cherry Blossoms Festivals period, Imperial Palace and Chidori Gafuchi inner moat, we can see from the top of the Italian Cultural Center, very nice view. So I want to include also this kind of place for the water city of Tokyo. Traditionally, people considered also only lower part, downtown, but also high town, western part, central area can be included in water city of new sense. Next, please. There are several moats, 2 moats, and outer moat is very important, but for a long time, this place was neglected, forgot in certain sense. So our group did promotion for revitalize, re-evaluate this area. Next, please. So we did every year, every summer, this kind of concert on the outer moat, utilizing this very nice space of water. And there is a circulation system utilizing this river, gap of difference of height of the place. From 5-4 toward 2 toward 7, there is a circulation system of water. Water go down following difference of land. So water could be kept in clean system and condition. But now circulation was stopped, so there is a little bit problematic. We can recover. We want to recover this circulation system. I will talk in the end of my presentation. Next, please. Kanda River is very interesting. Kanda River lower part is artificial, excavated to protect from flood of central area in Edo. But anyway, this artificial valley is very dynamic. So, for example, this is a very nice picture. A group of Harvard University's design school was enjoying passing in this artificial valley, but it looks very natural valley today. Next, please. So, landscape is very dynamic, utilizing many different kinds of water space. We have a very important concept, Meisho, famous place, a keyword for the understanding the urban structure and landscape of Edo, Tokyo, unique relationship between city and nature, countryside. Yeah, in Europe, monuments, man-made monuments are important, but in Japan, coexistence with nature is fundamental. Next, please. In fact, famous painter Utagawa Hiroshige drew 100 famous views of Edo. 80% of pictures shows water space. And painter was interested also in rural area, suburban area. And always, very often, he drew mountain as a symbol. So urban structure, image of urban structure is different from European cities. Relationship, center and border is very different. Very interesting, this kind of comparison between Western cities and Japanese city. Next, please. Also in central area of Tokyo, we have a mountain and lake, Ueno, greenery and water. Still now we have this richness of natural elements, but not so utilized in ideal conditions. We should improve this very important places. Next, please. There are several historical layers. Old houses and tombs were found in this area. So before Edo era, already this place had an importance. Next, please. so considered as a sacred area. And in Edo period, developed popular culture enjoyment. So utilizing mountain and lake, there were many interesting places, recreation area surrounded by greenery and mountain, water and pond. So there was many tea houses where people enjoyed. And some tea houses were used just like Love Hotel of nowadays. Next, please. Also in modern time, this place, mountain lake, was utilized for interesting purpose, exhibition. Next, please. And in the Taisho era, in modern time, 1914, also space around the lake was utilized to put pavilions and illumination for the night. So for the Japanese mentality, this place was very adaptable. So they had a big success for the festival atmosphere. Water side was always important. Next, please. I should go very quickly. I'm sorry for late. As now people enjoy Cherry Blossoms Festival here. Next, please. Now I explain the natural phenomena, water spring system. Spring water is an important factor for understanding the unique urban and territorial structure of Tokyo. There are two types, cliff line type and valley head type. Next, please. This is very important lake, pond, Inogashira Pond, as a water source. Edo era governor constructed a very nice water supply system, taking water from this lake. Water was water from water spring, natural phenomena. Still now we have, but now they should have water, take water from the under level pump up system. But still now water comes from here toward the central part of Tokyo. Next, please. Still now very nice lake. People enjoy. Next. Next, please. Of course, this area was very favorite to live for ancient period people. So there are many archaeological remains around this area. Next, please. And also in medieval time, this rich natural place had attracted attention of people, and one religious shrine was founded here for the female goddess. And Tokugawa shogunate developed this site for their temple and for sightseeing place. Hiroshige drew this place very charmingly. Next, please. So from the middle of Edo, this place became very important touristic. But anyway, along the Kanda River, this Inogashira Pond, from Inogashira Pond, Kanda River starts and penetrate in central area of Tokyo and go to Sumida River. But anyway, along this river, there are many archaeological remains. Next, please. Next, please. For example, this is a shrine for the water god and there is a historic garden which go back to Edo period. Now, next, please. Shrine and historic garden. Of course, this historic garden utilized spring water. Next, please. We go back to central area of Yamanote High Town. This is an embassy of Italy. They utilized ex-residence of daimyo, very rich. And the upper part is Mitsui Club, another facility, very important. But all of these buildings, facilities utilized ex-residence daimyo, where there is still now very nice pond, lake of spring water. Next, please. Spring water were very important, but in central area, with modernization, development, water level went down, so it is difficult to have a natural water spring. So pump up is necessary. Next, please. But if we go to suburban area, we can observe still now water spring works very well. For example, here, continuously water come down in shrine. Shrine was born, developed, constructed very often close to spring water. Next, please. This area around Kokubunji is very rich area for water springs still now. And from the ancient period, people lived. So there are many archaeological sites on the edge of hills. Green, yellow part indicate area of archaeological site, and where there are still now spring waters spots. Next, please. You can understand the situation. There are many greenery and springs water, and very nice traditional residences of rich family. Next, please. Also from the point of view of cultural landscape, very nice. We did research here. Next, please. This is a very nice shrine of a Benten shrine, a female god, associated with legend of a beautiful woman. Next, please. Traditionally, inhabitants used to utilize this stream of water for the daily life, washing, cooking, etc. Next, please. This is a very interesting map, rewrite from the original historical map. But anyway, system is very seen clearly. Water network and Tamagawa Josui water supply system were indicated here. From the left, there is a Tama River. From Tama River, this Tamagawa Josui start and penetrate on the top of the hill toward the right hand, so eastern part. But there are several subdivision branches of water as a canal, irrigation canals. So agriculture activity developed thanks to this distribution of water. And going toward the east, enter in central part of Edo, Tokyo. This water was used for drinking water and for garden and for baths and for clean of canals. So multi-purpose. Network is penetrated in urban area with red indication. Also on the narrow street penetrated this system. So common people could drink this water. Next, please. Tamagawa Josui system still now visible, but of course transformed very much, of course, but still now very big cultural heritage. Next, please. This is the branch system from the Tamagawa Josui for the local agricultural area. There are many also mills for the rice works, etc. Next, please. This is one of the family who worked for the production of silk. They used mill for silk reeling, etc. So for the industrial artisanal activities, water of Tamagawa Josui was very useful. Next, please. This is the Tamagawa Josui's promotion. There are many symposium, conference, which evaluate the existence of this canal, artificial canal, as a very important cultural heritage of the territory, which connect between suburban area and central area of Tokyo, Edo Tokyo. Next, please. But unfortunately, this water of Tamagawa Josui doesn't enter more in inner moat of central part of Tokyo. So circulation system was cut, forgot. So our group, collaborating between many universities, experts, we did proposal to municipal government of Tokyo to recreate this circulation system utilizing water from Tamagawa Josui to inner moat, so to purify and to have a good quality of water. So we want to revitalize image of water city, not only in lower part of Tokyo, but also in territory of Tokyo. This is our target. Next, please. Final one. The conclusion, you can see here a fascinating landscape of the magic hour of Tokyo, which is the mixture of traditional elements and futuristic city elements, especially for the Japanese cities, which had not concept of plaza, piazza. Urban space opened to the water, river, or sea were particularly important as commons or public collective spaces for citizens where people can gather freely and communicate together. But such historic experiences were forgotten for a long time in the industrialization period. Now we are trying to recover the strong image of water city again for Tokyo and many other Japanese cities, especially for the post-corona COVID-19 society. Waterfront space surely become more important than before. I stop here.